Today's show is going to be packed. We have drills going on in Baltimore. Of course, the New York drills for America's Worst Day. We're going to talk about that. And recently, we just found out that we have deployed AC-130s. We'll talk all of that and more right when we get back. All right. What is going on, guys? My name is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Before we get started, I just want to let you know that, of course, nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals, or the so-called professionals. The internet is full of fake news, and please take everything with a grain of salt. With that being said, today's show is brought to you by NordVPN. We are completely independent. We do not have a multi-channel network. We don't have a multi-billion-dollar company behind us. So, of course, you can be. Again, if you want to support us, go through any of our affiliates, including Nord, and then a commission of that goes to us, and you get a huge discount. It's a win-win for everybody. All right, let's bring in my co-host, Dex. What is going on tonight, and how are you doing?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So we have a lot of stories. Remember, you can follow along at home. You can actually grab a second device, go to marfooglenews.com, and you will find that we have every single article, every single tweet, every single video that we're going to show you here today will be on the website. When you go there, you'll just look for today's thumbnail. Again, click on that, and you'll see preparing for, quote, our worst day. That wasn't our term, actually. It was America's Worst Day was their term. And, of course, the drills that are going on right now. Again, and that will bring you to all of the links. Every single one is there. And then, of course, web-only content down below essentially has stuff that is so hot that you would get deleted if you put it on this platform and many others. On the right side, if you want to find any of our affiliates, if you miss them during my announcements, you can go over to the right of the screen and support us in any of those ways, including PayPal. Basically, the PayPal is just like Super Chat during the show. So, Randy Cyber, thank you for joining us. Let's get right into the news. All right, inside the dangerous consequences of Russia's space screw-ups. We talked about this last week. Of course, they supposedly had a Russian rocket or something that was coming up to ISS. Something happened where its boosters started firing off, and it almost pushed the ISS out of orbit. Whether you believe this or not, that was the story. Again, they said that they had to use every rocket on the ISS to basically stabilize it and save the crew inside, which they said it was either 3 people inside or 7, regarding which news outlets you go through. It says a space capsule with a hole in it, a rocket that failed 31 miles over Earth's surface, an orbital lab with misfiring thrusters. That's just the short list of the most dramatic mishaps involving the International Space Station in the last 3 years. In fact, we've covered all of those. If you remember, to fix the hole in it, they actually put their thumb in the hole until they could patch it.
You know what's interesting is that hole didn't just show up in ISS. It showed up because the Suez rocket that went up, the capsule that docked, went all the way up there with a hole in it. And they didn't realize they had a hole in it until it hooked up to the ISS. And then the ISS said, hey, guys, something's leaking. And they had to go find it.
So we always hear a lot of people, especially because we talk about China and Russia, talking about how bad and backwards some of the China military stuff, they think that it's so backwards. Russia, I do believe they make a lot of mistakes. I've seen it firsthand. In fact, I've been to a lot of museums. It's one of my favorite things to do in my off time. If I ever go on vacation, I try to hit every museum possible. It's something that I actually am pretty passionate about. Anywhere we go to all the museums. And one thing I have seen is time and time again, we have throughout history, Russia's made a lot of really bad mistakes. I could only imagine, why were we trusting Russia to fly all of our astronauts up before Elon? I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Well, what's really interesting, though, is in the space program, up until recently, in the last, say, 5 or so years, 10 years, they were really, really serious about it. Like they really had a great track record. They were the first in space. They had a lot of other major milestones they had done, and they had a lot of successful ventures to ISS with us and the rest of the international community. And they were really, really, really strong. It seems like they faded. I don't know if they just got sloppy, didn't spend as much money, but the one we talked about with a hole in it. Yeah, or the one we talked about with a hole in it. Right after that is when the one that exploded. It was like 31 miles, and they had to jump out or ejection seat out and parachute the people back down, to Earth because it had a mishap. So, yeah, it's just this is a very, very long article, folks, but it does sort of bring to light the shift in, at least even in the science community's perception, or the space community's perception of how Russia has changed and evolved, and not necessarily evolved in a good way, more like devolved.
So I'm going to read this one part that was interesting. It says, this has serious implications, not just for an increasingly isolated militaristic Russia, but also for the countries that work with Russia in orbit, especially on the International Space Station. The United States, for one, might cut Roscosmos loose as it organizes ambitious new manned missions to the moon and maybe eventually Mars. This also could be so they can publicly separate. If you have watched Russia's actions over the last couple of years, they did a lot of things very fast. As far as they talked about having their own intranet, essentially making a system to where their internet would be able to cut itself off from the rest of the world. If something happened to the rest of the world's internet, they would be able to separate and have their own internet working, which wasn't possible before then. Now, Dex, you know a lot about internet and those things. Why can you explain to me and others why did they have to do that in the first place? What did they essentially do by separating their internet?
Well, what they were trying to do is make sure that they could keep their internet up and running, and then even provide services and when the internet was to go down, or if they wanted to block off access from the outside world, right? But the other thing that they sort of slipped in there was they did this, and they said, "Oh, by the way, look at this. We can make Yahoo work even if it's not really connected. If you type in Yahoo, we can make it go to our own website, and we can show you what we want to show you as Yahoo, so that we can at least provide services if the internet is down or if we lock off." But what people didn't really realize they were doing is they were basically saying, "Hey, we're setting up the same type of filtering systems and the ability to control 100% what's going on our network, just like China does, right? They just used a different flavor. Instead of strawberry, it was apple."
By the way, as we're talking about it, it's starting to cut out, or the connection is starting to get wary. So hopefully it doesn't cut out while we're talking about the Russian internet. Anyways, the main point, though, is do they expect the rest of the world to go down as far as the internet? Before it was all interconnected and they separated. With this, I see that they're separating in every way. It really is almost like almost in every case, they are separating from imports, exports with our ally countries. They are separating as far as they are reducing the number of diplomats in other countries. We've seen this with all of our allies and their relationship with Russia. Same thing with China. There's all these things at play at once. What do you think? Tell me down below. And then, of course, they want people to take them seriously. Space Force wary of taking over UFO mission. It says the newest branch is among the number of military and intelligence organizations in the running to take over the investigation of unexplained aircraft. It says the Pentagon is considering giving the Space Force a greater role in the stepped-up effort to track and investigate reports of UFOs. But the newest military branch isn't over the moon about the idea. It says Space Force leaders are still struggling to rebrand the organization that has been lampooned since before its birth. Now they are conflicted about becoming the military's go-to on what the Pentagon now calls unmanned aerial phenomena, according to 5 current and former officials taking part in the discussions. I don't know get why this is an issue. It would seem like a perfect fit for Space Force, as far as a lot of people have made fun of it. They even made a show on Netflix called Space Force, and it had Steve Carell or whatever his name was the the main general or the guy in charge, and they made it look like they're a bunch of idiots. Of course, that was easy to do because the president in office, of course, media just absolutely loved lampooning anything attached to him. So again, why has it been lampooned in the first place? Well, when it was first suggested, everybody thought, oh, T-Man suggested it, so it's a really dumb idea. But nobody's canceled it. Nobody said, hey, let's reverse this decision, even though all of the other decisions have pretty much been reversed. All of his executive orders have been somewhat reversed. A lot of dumb things, in my opinion, as far as EMP protection stuff. I mean, like all sorts of weird things that you're like, why would you not do that? On the Space Force role, though, it's like obviously there's something there that secretly in Congress are listening to in the meetings that needs them there, whether it be China having secret technology or Russia or any of these guys, or an actual UFO or even a fake invasion coming. Who knows? Do you think that the Space Force is a good thing or a bad thing? Tell me in the comments below. It says advocates for the Space Force taking over for the Navy, which is currently leading the Pentagon's task force responsible for studying them, believe that the new service is better suited to oversee a more robust effort aimed at collecting information on UFOs, and that its association with the topic such public fascination, particularly among young people, could even boost recruiting. Quote, "It makes perfect sense," said one former intelligence official who is advising the military in the planning, citing its more expensive geographic responsibilities than the other military branches and access to global and even galactic surveillance technologies through U.S. Space Command. It says, quote, "There is no limit to the Space Force mission. It doesn't have to be a geographic boundary like the other services." So basically saying that the Navy is limited. In just a second here, we're going to talk about, of course, the drills that are going on in and underground. Again, a lot of the things that we've been talking about are now coming true, of course. We're going to talk about, of course, the Justice Department. We're going to talk about the fake CV cards. And, of course, the world nowhere near the end of this demic. That's what they're saying, right? Philippa Cummins, Diamond Paradigm, thank you so much for subscribing during the break. Mark Sketch, thank you so much. I appreciate you for being one of the last people out. With Stephen McMahon, I appreciate all of you that support the show. Thank you, and thank you. And then we have London's Tower Bridge is stuck open due to a technical fault. Dex, a technical fault.
Yeah, it sounds a little questionable to me. Maybe it's maybe they got hacked, but they're not saying. They're just saying it's a technical issue.
So a lot of places are getting hacked, and we know for a fact that even government agents have said that a lot of these companies and a lot of the things that are getting hacked don't actually tell you they're getting hacked. Again, that's something that has been a pattern over the last 3 or 4 months, but especially in the last 2 years and the development of course, solar winds. By the way, I want to say thank you to Dust to Dust, Vault 11, Divine 1122 says you're amazing, light if love everyone. And then Kelly2334, thank you for being early in on D-Live. Saul Paul, Quantum Cat, and then of course Shadow Wolf 73. Thank you guys for supporting. It says a technical fault has left the world-famous London landmark Tower Bridge stuck open on Monday afternoon with cars and pedestrians unable to cross. It says bascules are the movable sections of the road on the bridge that can be raised and lowered using counterweights, according to the Tower Bridge tourism website, and the bridge opens about 800 times a year. The technical fault caused long lines of traffic across the cities, with pedestrians having to find other ways to get across the river. The City of London police urged people to avoid the area. Sounds kind of, something about this is weird. You know, also London, if you've ever been there, I have not. Let me know if the London
Bridge.
On
that bridge.
So let me ask you this. If the London Bridge is completely out of commission, or if it's permanently up, or if it's stuck up, or whatever happens, how hard would it to be to escape from a disaster?
It's a big deal in the sense that, I mean, it's not a total loss. There's bridges. The river sort of winds through the city, but the city is so densely populated, London is, that you need all of these bridges. That's why they have multiple bridges, one after another. So yeah, you have to like move from one bridge to another and work your way, to that place, probably east or west a little to get to another bridge, like the actual London Bridge, which doesn't look as cool as this bridge does. But yeah, so you could do that, but it just takes more time, and traffic is a mess there. It's a very, very dense city. It's not like they just widen the streets to fit more cars in. They really can't. It's been there forever, right? But that it's a pretty cool. I think you have a picture of that bridge. You can show it. It's in the next tab. But this is the real famous one that everybody sees. It's really lit up. It's actually not that old, but it's a very nice bridge. But it does hold a lot of traffic and take a lot of vehicles over.
It is very huge. I used to have the Lego version of this, and then it broke apart. And now it's in a million pieces, but it was about a 4-foot Lego version of this, and it was one of my favorite. This is quite iconic. Of course, people that have never been there, like myself, recognize it right off the bat. So do we know if it has been fixed yet? I mean, that's how long did it go down for, or is it still down?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if it's up and running yet, if this is going to be a long process or if it's a short process. But I think it's happened once before, many, many, many years ago. But this seems a little odd just with all the different tech stuff going on. And, I'm sure that this is, while it may be, it's very modern technology. It's not that old of a bridge, at least. I mean, it is sort of, but it's
I just
not
wonder,
that old. I'm sure it's been refreshed, and I'm sure there's, not guys pulling on chains. I've actually taken a tour in there. It's pretty much under control, probably of systems, because they have to open and close that bridge based on ships coming through, boats coming through, etc.
Well, so when you went on that tour, is anything computer? I mean, do they have a computer running this now?
I didn't see that part, so but I wouldn't surprise me if they do. I'm sure they do.
Well, again, if you know the answer to that, leave it down in the comments below. And then oh my goodness. Okay, so we're going to go into the Greece wildfires. We actually covered Greek wildfires last year. It was so horrendous that last year, one of the areas was so bad and it happened so fast. I believe this is Greece, and you guys can correct me if you want. I'm going to hold up the chat just in case I'm making a horrible mistake. I believe it was in Greece that there was such a horrible and fast fire that people had to run to the beach, and they actually could not save themselves. Like, it entrapped them to the water. Am I right or am I wrong? If anybody wants to correct me, I don't want to say something that's blatantly wrong. Dex, do you remember that?
I vaguely remembered. I just don't remember the specifics and the location.
It was at the very beginning of when you started with me, so I don't know if you were there with me. Dr. J-Man's place. Trolls are getting heavy here. Again, sorry if there's we definitely need our mods right now, but again, mostly it's very peaceful. We always try to give them 3 chances. If there's trolls, I don't get that though. Why would you want to watch a show if you don't like it? Doesn't make too much sense. And then, of course, legal U.S. marijuana is pouring into Mexico. It's pricey, popular, and has names like Bubba Kush. It says traffickers from California load their suitcases with U.S.-grown marijuana before hopping on planes to Mexico or walking across a pedestrian border crossing into Tijuana. One car was recently stopped entering Tijuana with 56,000 jars of gummies infused with THC, the active ingredient in marijuana. But relatively few of these southbound traffickers are caught, even as their contraband doubles or triples in values as soon as it enters Mexico. It says the demand here for American weed has exploded. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. So now it is the Mexican culture that's asking for our weed. If you used to smoke weed back in the day, then you would know, like, you would get the stuff up from Mexico, and it was pretty crappy. Of course, the good stuff, as Justin Bieber says, is all in California, and the peaches are in Georgia, I think. That's where you get it. Dex, you would know about that, of course, living in Georgia. So, what the heck? They're actually going up in value. So people are trying to smuggle not into the United States, but they're trying to smuggle it out. That is insane to me. It says the demand here for American weed has exploded, said one dealer in Mexico City who estimated that 60% of the marijuana he sells now comes from California. The dealer spoke on the condition of anonymity for fear of arrest. It's aspirational for many of my clients. They want to be seen smoking the best stuff. The stuff rappers brag about smoking. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. So, like, hey man, they got that Snoop Dogg stuff, you know? This is a good stuff. It's so funny because now here in Washington, it's completely legal to the point where it is like you can walk into 7-Eleven and buy a beer. Here you can walk into a dispensary if you are of age and you can buy the stuff. You can buy any kind, any candy, anything. So it's kind of crazy to me that they are smuggling even these THC, like, you know, gummies and things out of the country. I wonder, wouldn't it be funny, Dex, if they closed their border because of you know, they didn't want our stuff coming in their country?
Yeah, that's funny. It's the irony is that this is actually flip-flopped, you know, and even the names are funny, you know, going from, you know, what was it, you know, Acapulco Gold or Mikokaken and Cream to now Girl Scout cookies and Bubba Kush. Yeah, it's funny. It's ironic too.
Yeah, the California Gold and all these names. It's like it's definitely flipped in the last 20 years. Macaduda Arzola, thank you for your support. Thank you for supporting Independent. I appreciate you. You can always write a message there next time. If you have not already, I highly recommend you going over and checking out EMP Shield's website. You can actually get there at marfooglenews.com/EMP. If you want to protect yourself against an electromagnetic pulse, which is one of the biggest threats to the United States and other countries, I would highly recommend going here. Again, this device can protect against all three phases of an EMP. They make different devices for different things. You can get one for your house, for your car, for your RV, even your ham radio. Not to mention your generators, of course, your solar system. These are all covered under different EMP shields. Again, go over. This is the same company that is now working with DHS, DOD, and of course on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. These are Keystone military tested. It also protects against solar flares, the natural kinds, CMEs. Again, this supports us. A commission goes to us, and you get a giant $50 off discount per device, and that stacks on top of any sale they are running. It's 100% American made, and it's a veteran-owned business. Again, that's marfooglenews.com/EMP. Have your car protected in about 5 minutes. All right, and then let's head over, and we're going to check out the Greek wildfires. Was it again, Dex? Wasn't it the blaze in Greece? It surrounded those people.
Yeah, it sounds vaguely familiar that that's where it was.
It says Greek wildfire, thousands flee as apocalyptic fires continue to rage like a horror movie. It says the blaze on the island of Evia erupted into several fronts, tearing through thousands of acres of forest across its northern region, forcing an evacuation of dozens of villages. This literally looks like a scene out of like 300 or something, but apparently this is Greece. What is that on his arm, though? I'm just curious. Is that something medical? Like, what the heck?
I think it's something in front of him.
Oh, that's a flower. It literally looks like there's like one of those patches that they put.
I thought it was like a suction cup or something to him, but yeah, it looks like something in front, in the foreground.
I thought it was maybe he had to run out of a hospital or something with those, those heartbeat pads or something on him. That looks like it's actually hanging off of his arm. I don't think they intended that. But of course, look at the fire behind him. That does look like it's out of a movie. Thousands have been forced to flee their homes as apocalyptic wildfires in Greece continue to rage through the country. The island of Evia was burning uncontrollably for the 6th day on Sunday after ferries were scrambled to rescue beleaguered residents. It says the blaze on the island, which is Greece's second biggest, erupted into several fronts, tearing through thousands of acres. The flames engulfed homes in 5 villages, but the full extent of the damage was not immediately known. It says, quote, "It's like a horror movie," said a 38-year-old pregnant evacuee who gave her name as Mina after she boarded a rescue ferry at the town of Pefki. This guy, this is like, it looks like a firefighter with the, crazy boots here, but it looks like he has a garden hose. This is like taking a pea shooter to Godzilla. Like, that just doesn't look like it's going to do much. But now, this is not the movie. This is real life. This is the horror that we have lived for the last week, she said. We're talking about the apocalypse. I don't know how to describe it. Soltoris Danicus Coast Guard in the town of Adiapitos told state broadcasters ERT. In the village of Passapoli, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced this and you're from there, evacuated residents said they were angry. Man, look at this. These pictures are absolutely unbelievable. It's a disaster. It's huge. Our villages are destroyed. There is nothing left from our homes, our properties. Nothing. Nothing, she said. So I'm praying for the people of Greece, and I know that none of these people deserve this. And of course, they're already, it seems like that some of the hardest hit places in the first place then are hit with kind of double down with natural disaster, or unnatural disaster, as some may think or call it. And then, of course, we have the Dixie fire, now second largest wildfire in California state history. Here's what we know. After spreading about 17,000 acres overnight, the Dixie fire burning in Butte and Plumas counties is now the second largest wildfire in California state history. Which, again, a lot of people have been commenting. Somebody commented just yesterday. They said, oh, well, there hasn't been any fires this year. We haven't, again, this is somebody that was from Washington. We have not seen the full extent of what is happening in California, but I do believe they are being lit up as well. It says the fire hit 463,000 acres Sunday morning, surpassing the Mendocino complex, which burned 459,000 acres in 2018. In Mendocino County and surrounding areas, still at the top of the state's list of the largest fires is 2020's August complex, which charred 1,648,000 acres across the Eureka. The Dixie fire, 21% contained, has destroyed 404 buildings, plus 185 minor structures, and damaged 38 additional structures as of Sunday. 13,000 more remain threatened. So, again, have to say it, I'm praying for California. I'm praying for all of you guys. And we have so many Fugel fam in California. In fact, we have so many Fugel fam in California that we had, when we had our state groups, we had it broken up into multiple groups. That's how many Fugel fam are there that are actively prepping for stuff like this. Somebody the other day actually tweeted or said something, and they said, all you do is talk about this. When are you going to take action? We were taking action. We had state groups in all 50 states, which I don't see too many other channels doing, that were actually meeting on a weekly basis, if not weekly. I think the most unfrequent was monthly, where we had as big of groups as 100 people meeting in person, talking prep, talking everything. Our California groups were some of the most active. That was, before our Discord got taken down unjustly. That was right during that political time where we had a lot of members that were also in other groups. They basically looked at the chain, and any groups these people were in, they just deleted without asking any questions. Ours was part of that. So we have built a system on our own. Again, that is, we are actually recruiting people right now to staff it, because we're going to have to. So again, we're doing something about this. I believe that a lot of people are right, that we need to take charge. And that's the honest truth. So as far as the preparing goes, you guys need to just get your stuff together. I see the comment saying, oh, you just do this for more views. We get the same views on this channel whether we cover, we could cover anything. We could cover, them putting in a new speed bump in the parking lot. We'll get the same 50,000 people that watch every day. It doesn't matter if we say something crazy to get more views. Views don't matter. People don't even know how the YouTube algorithm or the system even works anymore. It doesn't change anything for us. So I don't get that. We honestly hope that people are doing this, and in the end, I guess I hope that I hope that people do thank us, and I hope that people are prepared because of this show. Not everybody is a jack, like, why do people have no faith in humanity? It's pretty sad. Well, I know why they don't have faith, but again, it's crazy. And then, of course, Chinese censorship comes to the West. Be honest, did you read the Unheard's cookie just now before you clicked accept and closed? Have you ever read one of those notices? Or do you, like me, agree to anything and everything so as long as you can get to the good stuff more quickly? The reason these annoying little pop-ups exist at all is thanks to the recent-ish law, which helps you understand what's being collected about you online. It's something that probably deserves a moment of your attention. But we're spending more and more time online. Who wants to waste it clicking 20 tedious T's and C's a day?
I never read those, do you?
No, and nobody does. And people can say they do. When it says click and accept our cookies, right, it shows a brief thing. I guess it depends on what it's on. I haven't gone to a website that would be so important that I don't click it. Otherwise, if it's something like a bank, they already have all your stuff, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Hey, if you scroll down, I was after we got started with the show, I highlighted some sections in this article that I thought were really specific.
Dex, you cut out there. Okay. I don't know what happened there, but hold on. Well, I guess I'll just continue. The future of the internet will come down to tiny things like this. Subtle decisions made at the engineering or regulatory level, stuff which most of us can ignore because we can't be bothered to find out what it's all about. Are you curious about the digital object architecture? Do you want to know who's behind the Internet Corporation of assigned names and numbers? A colleague of mine once spent weeks tracking this stuff, only to conclude that internet protocols are, quote, simply too unpenetrable and boring to feel angry about. So we'll go down to this. It says, according to a new book that's about to change, 4 internets argue that the era of a single internet might be drawing to a close, replaced by a balkanized network of different versions living alongside each other. Scholars Wendy Hall and Kieran O'Hara reckon 4 internets in particular are already taking shapes. So check this out. Number 1, the Silicon Valley model is open and libertarian. Anyone can join the network. No single authority is in charge, and there are few rules about what sort of information can be transported across the network. Its modus operandi is to ask for forgiveness rather than permission. This is the original vision and remains just about still on top. The Washington, D.C. version, by contrast, prioritizes data collection and corporate interests. It doesn't mind big tech firms collecting massive amounts of information on citizens, providing it generates profits and excellent products for consumers to enjoy. And then, of course, there's the Brussels bourgeois or bourgeois model, which is, quote, ordered, respectful, polite, decent, well-behaved, well-mannered, and considerate, and also a little dull. Preferred by most EU countries, it is a quick launch antitrust cases. It is quick to launch antitrust cases and punish companies that, quote, move quickly and break things. It is the Brussels vision that has created GDPR privacy rules, the right to be forgotten, and those damn cookie laws. It says, finally, here is the fast-developing Beijing internet, which is paternalistic and tightly controlled by the government. Back in 2000, Bill Clinton told a Chinese trade delegation that cracking down on the internet would be like trying to nail Jell-O to the wall. Good luck. But over the last 20 years, the Chinese government has gradually brought the internet to heel through its doctrine of cyber sovereignty. They've done it slowly and cleverly. China's deep packet inspection technology checks what's coming in from the rest of the world. IP addresses they don't approve of are turned away. All internet content providers are held liable for what appears on their websites under the insidious you yourself decide code, which encourages everyone to turn into a draconian self-censor to avoid trouble. Dex, this sounds like it literally is happened, and that's again like with Russia.
And this
separated.
is exactly what I said with Russia, right? Like Russia is basically a Beijing internet, but they didn't want to call it that. They said, "Oh, we're doing all this for security. We're doing all this to prepare," right? But in reality, they were rolling out Beijing internet,
which basically they're cutting out anything they don't want their people to see, and then keeping the good stuff and keeping the mind control and propaganda parts. Is which one do you like? Do you like the Silicon Valley? Do you like the Washington, D.C.? Do you like the Brussels bourgeois? Or do you like the Beijing internet? I bet there's people that would support, one of four. Like every one of them will have its supporters. I think it's a nightmare as far as the Brussels bourgeois or however you say it. Because I've already seen how these laws have affected people. All of these damn the chapter, what was it, chapter 11 or not chapter article 11 or article 12, whatever it is. It's like somebody can take a picture and then basically take that whole video down because of one picture in a 2-hour thing. It's crazy. And they're doing it on titles, all sorts of stuff. It's just nuts. And then let us know what you think it should be like. Over on DLive, stormy weather. Whoa-wee. Holy moly. Stormy weather just dropped a Ninja. Says, 6th Ninja Jet. Much thanks to all your hard work, Dex, Adam, and mods. Stormy weather. Thank you, and thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you for supporting Independent. Again, you're already on that list of people. Thank you so much. Cloud Pharrell says, I miss Discord. Yes, I do too. Kelly Duth 2334. There were people that, they made their lives that Discord and it was rough. If you look up Marfoogle News Discord, you'll see all the videos of all of our people that actually played a part in it, and people that volunteered, people that were in groups. They all made videos to try to plead to Discord to bring it back. Of course, they had a different agenda back then. Carolina Roots, listening only. Love the Foogle fam. Thank you. Lisa K23, thank you, and thank you. Thank you for the Ninja Guinea. And then Pez Player, have to head to bed, but we'll catch replay while driving tomorrow. Thanks for all you do. Thank you again. Thanks Scooby-Doo-Do-Right, and thanks Vitamin T and Penny Lane. Appreciate all the support over there on DLive. And then, of course, on YouTube, Ed Kreider. I don't think I've seen you there before, so thank you so much for popping in. Thank you for... Wow, Ed. Thank you so much for your support. The Kegel, great show. Seraphina, clappy emoji, thank you. Marvin Boggs, does EMP Shield prevent XXX pics being pushed on your computer? No, Marvin, it does not. That you'll have to do your own firewall for. Is there a Marfoogle group in North Carolina? Silly Gurgle, there will be. Maria Dixerson, thank you so much for your support. And it looks like I did miss a couple people here. Thank you, everybody that popped in. Thank you guys for supporting Independent. I hope people realize that that's how we can keep going. So, that is weird. Let's see here. Looks like everything froze up on me. Thank you guys for being patient. Dex, for whatever reason...
We're still live on YouTube.
Did we get cut from DLive?
No, that's what I was monitoring at the moment.
Over 5,000 watching. I would hope so. But I did lose a couple things here. If you can, grab the supers from YouTube and put them in the screener. Because it just totally... Something happened there. That was weird. Thank you. It is a live show, you guys. Thank you for being patient. Chinese pressure sparks debate on Taiwan's resilience. Couple comments that I've seen lately. I'm just like... And I meant it. I meant my response to those comments in the best way. Somebody commented that, like, they said, I don't know Taiwanese people. I don't care what happens. Nobody's going to stick up for Taiwan because it's a little place and nobody cares about it. Taiwan has huge resources there. The chips alone right now, until we have another solution to make those chips, that's a huge resource. That controls practically, the world is run on these chips. The world has to use these. For everything from cars, electronics, everything that we now hold near and dear is made in Taiwan. China owns that. That means everything we hold near and dear will be made in China. That's not good. It says China's expanding military provocations toward Taiwan have elevated concern among the United States and its allies that Beijing could be on the verge of using force against the island democracy China considers an integral part of its sovereign territory. The pressure on Taiwan, coupled with other aggressive actions by the authoritarian government in China, have also triggered debate over the extent of which the Chinese aggression might backfire by boosting Taiwan's strong pro-independence forces and prompting the U.S. and others to deliver more robust support for Taipei. While the Xi administration has made rhetorical overtures of support for Taiwan, analysts say that the U.S. remains as wedded as ever to the so-called One China policy, under which Washington refuses to formally recognize Taiwanese independence, but helps the island defend itself and leaves ambiguous what the U.S. military would do in a shooting war. Dex, it's like we'll say, oh, here's some weapons to defend yourself, but we'll get rid of stuff that, tweets that China doesn't like and we won't support you. We won't say that you're your own nation. We accidentally posted a flag or said you were a country and removed it immediately. Everybody's saying sorry to China like they're our ruler already. What do you think, Dad?
Yeah, I totally agree. It's sending mixed signals and it's not showing commitment. It almost makes you question who's in charge and why and what they're doing.
It says, however, some claim Beijing's actions over the past year, most notably stepped up drills and missile testing by the PLA in the Taiwan Strait, have backfired, producing a surge of previously unseen support for Taiwan by the United States and its allies in the Indo-Pacific. Beijing's pressure against Taiwan has triggered counteractions by Washington and the international community, perhaps more than China has anticipated, said Zhou Liang, the director of Track 2 diplomacy programs at the Houston-based George W.H. Bush Foundation for the U.S.-China Relations. Since the beginning of 2021, U.S. Navy ships transited the Taiwan Strait 7 times in response to the PLA show of force. It says the increase to visits to Taiwan by current and former U.S. officials over the past 2 years should have also read as a sign of expanding American support for Taiwan, driven by Washington's desire to counter China's aggressive moves. I don't know. It says Australia, Japan, South Korea, the G7, and the EU have all identified Taiwan's security as increasingly important, and Beijing stepped up efforts to isolate Taiwan in the international arena. Japan has signaled that it may be forced to intervene in a cross-strait crisis. These developments were unprecedented. Those are the words being used. Japan saying that they were going to support. This is lining up to be a world conflict over Taiwan. Does anybody want it? Do I almost agree with the guy? Is everybody going to jump in over Taiwan?
Well, if Taiwan falls to China, the world will shift dramatically.
People don't understand that. You might not know a Taiwanese guy, but that's not the point. It's the resources and the power that comes with owning Taiwan, and Taiwan being not Taiwan being its own thing, dealing with everybody and exporting things, but Taiwan being assimilated into China. That's a huge deal. The power will shift in the United States and all over the world if they get absorbed. Speaking of China and their networks and all their crazy stuff, I hope that everybody's checking out NordVPN. Make sure to go over and get a virtual private network. If you want one of the highest rated and easiest to use, NordVPN is the one. It literally has a toggle switch where when you hit on, it will just put your IP address somewhere. You don't have to worry about it. It does all the work for you. Or you can pick custom areas. If you want to see movies in France, for instance, you can actually put your IP address in France or in Germany and watch whatever their top 10 is on Netflix. Those are geographic locked region kind of stuff that you can do as well with a VPN, but mostly it's to protect yourself against identity theft and, of course, people logging all of your actions online. You can hide your IP from those bad guys at marfooglenews.com/VPN and save upwards of 70% off. Again, with that link, marfooglenews.com/VPN. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle. And that works on 6 different devices, so you can use it on your phone, tablet, anything. And then Dex. U.S. soldiers are training in New York City for America's worst day. That could see nuclear or bio attacks and ballistic threats. This is a scary situation here.
It certainly is. The first thing that came to my mind when I read this was the story you were telling us that happened to you when you were out of town not too long ago when you ran into the DoD official.
So again, this just came out, and did I not just tell you guys, like, the DoD official said that the biggest worry, if you haven't heard the story, basically I was out and about. I got yelled at for taking pictures. A DoD official came out and said you can't take pictures of a certain building. I won't go into more details because I do realize why they said to not do so. Basically, it was an area where they go for vacation. It's where they go for vacation, for resort time, or if they get a break, or if they're back and they have to be redeployed, they try to give them a little house so they can stay in, whatever else. So again, I was taking pictures of this building, which I thought was an evacuation tower for the tsunami. It turned out, after talking with them, that it was an evacuation tower. It was a tower for an emitter. It looked exactly the same to me, not knowing what it was. It had stairs up to a big platform. But if you've ever seen those platforms with the golf ball type military, they look like a giant golf ball. That's what it was for. They hadn't put the emitter up there yet, though, because they were basically trying to get approval and nobody wanted it there and all this stuff. Anyways, I was taking pictures, and he basically told me that I was putting soldiers at risk. So immediately I said, well, totally understand. Ended up talking to him. We end up having some things in common. Actually, after I apologized, his wall just went right down, and he said, I'm just trying to do what I have to do. Because at first, when he told me to stop taking pictures, I said, where am I standing? Is this, your land, whatever land? First Amendment. I was basically First Amendment auditing him. Like, is this Navy ground right here? Because I see a restaurant there. I see this there. Anyways, I was being a jerk as well, because I was like, I can take pictures of anything I want if I'm in public place, which I believe I could have. Anyways, did take the pictures, but then I read the sign too, and there was stuff there that was posted. The guy goes into basically that they have 5 Washington cells, and we're talking about he says not just like a couple people or 5 people. He says actual cells where they meet. T cells of these T groups, right? And he said that there's 5 active T cells just in Washington, and goes, what they're doing right now is all drilling for bio. He says, this is after I said, we talked about, I said that I thought something big was coming, and he said, oh yeah, we're going to war. And I said, what do you think the timeline is? He said, 100% inside 2 years. Talked about the drills, talked about bio being their biggest threat, that they're doing drills with masks, all this stuff. And I told you guys this. A week later, it's like a B movie. Everything happens right after. It's almost like it's spoken into existence. They're doing these very specific drill. This is a photo from one of it that I used for this thumbnail. Dex, can you explain what they're doing here? They're like basically drilling for a nuclear event.
Yeah, this is definitely bio or nuclear in the subway, right? And you've got the full, I think the next tab or the second to next tab is the actual full size picture of that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that doesn't
it's
have. So check this out. Look at the triage down here. I partly covered this up because I thought that the rhythm thing was going to grab it. Look at this. Now, when you combine this with the exercises that are going on, we just covered about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, how FEMA is looking for people to participate in this drill where they're containing rural counties. So if something was to be released in a rural county or out in the country, out in the sticks, how they would respond to that and how they could contain it as fast as possible. What do they drill for? They drill for the most probable. And almost every big event that has happened, there has been a drill in not only in the near past, some the same day. Look at 2001, September. During that day, they were doing drills for this very exact thing. Then, of course, we have the August 11th emergency alert going out. Very similar to the presidential alert. I believe it is almost one and the same. We're talking about a FEMA kind of organized thing where it's going to be this huge thing. It is only the second cell phone test of this nature, and it is using the same kind of system. Same kind of system that you saw in the movie Greenland, where it only grabbed certain people and said, hey, you evacuate to here. They're getting prepped for something big, and the public somehow still doesn't know on a big basis. It's only the very few that watch things like this or go down these holes, but otherwise, this is looked at like you're being paranoid. Do they say to the military, you're being paranoid, why are you doing this? Nobody's ever going to hit us with anything. Nobody's going to release anything. Our CIA isn't going to release stuff on our own, people. They wouldn't destroy something they put so much money into. We're talking about people and negative and just evil people that they could literally take 1%, not even 0.5% of their overall wealth and do a 10-year mission to Mars. Talking about the incredibly rich people that we probably don't even know about. The people that are richer than Elon Musk, richer. They say that those are the richest men in the world. But then again, so you're saying that none of the people that actually own the far huge monopolies, their families, like talking about the Rockefellers, all these people, that family is not richer than these guys? Don't think so. We're talking about families that have owned this country, this world, England, London, UK, since before we were born. And they have passed every bit down and only accumulated more and more power. They're not listed on those lists because their names don't even appear when you search them. Because they can personally say, hey, Oogle, can you take my name off of there? And they go, sure. Whatever is happening right now, you are not Looney Tunes. You see everything around. Go with your gut. Tony C. You Got Frog. Thank you for subscribing. Maria Dickinson. Now, let's talk about this national emergency alert here in a second. I first want to say, last week, I missed this. Somebody just told me about this yesterday. It said the U.S. Army is apparently testing booms. It says Baltimore homes rattle after U.S. Army conducts bombing tests. It says the U.S. Army warned Baltimore residents Wednesday not to be alarmed if they heard booming sounds from Aberdeen Proving Ground. It says according to the base's Facebook account, APG will be conducting daytime and nighttime firings between the hour of 0700 and 2359. It said firing sounds may be heard in surrounding communities. The Proving Ground at Aberdeen is a weapons testing range located in Harford County, or about 40 miles northeast of Baltimore City. Residents of Harford County and East Baltimore County are expected to hear what may sound like bombs. Huh. Really? It says, did you hear that? We've received some calls and emails asking about a big boom sound that many people reported hearing in eastern Baltimore County. Now imagine you don't get the memo on this. Everybody that I talked to so far about this Baltimore, there was a few people that sent me the videos and the different stuff containing this. They did not know what was going on. It's not like they did a mandatory kind of like memo to everybody to let them know. A lot of people were scared crapless, and they ended up calling the police. They ended up calling and using all the lines. That's why you warned them about that. Dex, do you think that this might have gone out after or before? Do we have like a time record of this going out before? It seems to me like every time they do something like this and there's big booms or something like that, it's usually afterwards when they put out the article saying, hey, don't be alarmed, that was just this. But it sounds like this was before.
It seems like the article is after, the news reporting is after, and then somehow, somewhere, somebody finds some evidence that it was before, but you don't know if it really was before because nobody found it before then, right? That's exactly what happens each time this happens. As it comes out, people get worried, the news reports on it, then they say, don't worry, it's nothing big. Then they come out and say, oh, by the way, there was some little memo somewhere saying that you shouldn't have worried about it last week, but nobody saw it. But was the memo really there?
I don't know. It's quite freaky what they're doing right now. Just because people have followed for so long, they're like, oh, you've already told us about this. But for anybody that's new, that's just starting to pick up on all this, over the last 2 years, we've been talking about this. They're drilling with no GPS, no internet, no radio communications, all over the country, and they're drilling to fight in the dark in urban environments. And not to mention, for the first time in U.S. history, they're landing and taking off drills with A-10 Warthogs, which historically are literally used to back our frontline soldiers. The actual Marines on the ground in the very front line, firefight, A-10 Warthog comes over the hill and saves their butts. It's what it's used for. It goes hand in hand with the front line. Those are drilling to take off and land on U.S. highways. Well, why would you need to do that? Well, if all your bases were destroyed, guess where you would be taking off and landing from? And guess who knows where all the bases are and where all the airfields are? All of our enemies. Oh, and what recently just stopped happening? Oh, the flyovers. So now Russia doesn't get to fly over us. We don't get to fly over Russia. It may be just a coincidence. Maybe they actually want to move some things around, including their bases and maybe their airfields, because they're getting ready for an actual, factual World War III. Just a thought. People are going to call you Looney Tunes. People are going to say you're crazy. They say to me that I'm doing it for views. I believe this. And if you don't, that's fine. You don't have to watch. Anyways, August 11th, we have a very unique alert going out. Again, my thought on this is, other than the whole thing that, maybe this is part of an actual thing, I don't know. What if 10% of the people, or the 1%ers, all got a message saying, hey, this is where you need to go, it's about to pop off or something, and this would be like kind of a cover for that. That's a freaky thought. Or this is upstream surveillance to grab everybody's stuff. I talked about this 2 years ago, now 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago in 2018, October 3rd, they did the last presidential alert. That last presidential alert, of course, because it was attached to that president, was criticized. They said, oh, if it has anything to do with him, I don't want it. In fact, even what's going on right now where they're trying to force everybody into, when he said it was there, the same people that are forcing it are saying, oh, I wouldn't take it if it was from him. A lot of people realized that this was something bigger than just a weekly, this is a broadcast for your emergency alert system. This isn't your weekly system. This is something on a massive scale. This is part of the doomsday alert. This is if we really go head to head with a country and all of a sudden 20 of our bases have just been destroyed. many of our cities are just completely wiped out, this is the system they would use. Or if an asteroid is coming towards Earth and we have 16 hours to live, this is the system they would use. It says there will be a national test of the wireless emergency alert system and the emergency alert system on August 11th at 2:20 p.m. According to FEMA and WEA, will only be sent to cell phones who have opted in to receive test messages. So wait, they're doing this massive thing, and if you didn't opt in, or say if you don't get a message and somebody next to you gets one, since you know this, you go, oh, well, it's totally normal he got one. He must have opted in. So what if you are in a group of 10 people and, you know, the 3 guys over here that work for Rockefeller, you know, blah, 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 they get one, but I don't. Oh, well, I didn't opt in. Maybe, just a thought. It says this will be the second ever test of the WEA system on mobile devices, the first being the presidential alert, the doomsday alert. The message will display in either English or Spanish, of course, right? This test will be the 6th ever sent over television and radio. So this isn't your normal, hey, this is your weekly broadcast of the EAS system. This is a bigger, more very specific, using different systems. It gets out to everybody when it wants to. It says the purpose of the August 11th test is to ensure that the EAS and WEA systems continue to be effective means of warning the public about emergencies, particularly those on a national level. Periodic testing of the public alert and warning systems helps assess the operational readiness of alerting infrastructure to identify any needed technological and administrative improvements. It says the WEA portion of the test, this is the one that were important, will be initiated using the Integrated Public Alert and Warning System, or IPAWS, a centralized internet-based system administered by FEMA that enables authorities to send authenticated emergency messages to public through multiple communications networks. The WEA test will be administered, of course, via a code that alerts only phones that have opted in to receive the WEA test messages. First of all, why in the hell would this kind of system be an opt-in? Have you thought about that, Dex? Like, why would you opt in? Wouldn't they want to test the people that didn't opt in, because that's the whole point of it, that you don't see any of the other medias? You opt in to... I don't understand that.
Well, yeah, and specifically on my phone, which is an iPhone, you can't opt in. I've looked everywhere. There's no way to opt in. I don't know where it is. I've looked. So I'm kind of curious what the rules are for that and what the definition of
maybe
opt-in.
You have to go to a website. So are we just going to hear a bunch of phones go off? Is it going to be like Left Behind? Those people, oh, I got to go. Or is this upstream surveillance, which is what I believe it was last time, and I think that it may be this time as well. If your phone does accidentally go off, will you think it's that crazy? Here is what Edward Snowden said about 24 hours after my video came out. I got information from a military member, and they, I believe, were right. They basically told me I did that video. That video that I did 24 hours before this tweet, before Edward Snowden or McAfee said anything about it, was over 1 million views in one day because of that whole deal. It said the same centralized infrastructure that lets them send something to everyone enables them to read anything from anyone. Curious about how such surveillance works? Read more. And the article attached that Snowden put was upstream surveillance. The NSA's upstream surveillance, of course, is something that can push using the chips, the same ones used for these systems, can push things onto your phone or grab things off of your phone or use your camera, microphone, as of course the late McAfee would put it. The quote, presidential alerts, quote, they are capable of accessing the E911 chip in your phones, giving them full access to your location, microphone, camera, and every function of your phone. This is not a rant. This is from me, still one of the leading cybersecurity experts. Wake up, people. Now, what's so funny is this tweet has been wiped as far as I could concern. If somebody else could find this, let me know. I actually did cover this and screenshotted this in on mine and back in the video that I did the day after, or 2 days after. But check this out. Guess how we found it? We found it through somebody saying, this is Ubitic. It says, quote, software and cryptocurrency advocate John McAfee claimed the presidential alert system gives government access to your phone. We found no evidence to support this claim, quote, and then links a Snopes.com fact check, which, if you know anything about Snopes, it's a big nope. And their reasoning is because there's no public information about this. Do you think that the government was going to tell us before Snowden popped out all of this stuff about, of course, everything that Snowden came out with? Whether you think he's a hero or a traitor, did any of us know that they were monitoring all of our stuff before? Well, I mean, yeah, the paranoid sign holders that, everybody said, you were that character in that movie they made with computers in some sort of warehouse, and you knew what the CIA was doing and all that, and you had your tinfoil hat. But before that, nobody believed it. And then when he came out with the proof that they were listening and doing all this stuff, everybody laughed at this notion. So, of course, it's false, right? Of course, there's no proof that they can access an E911 chip. This is a guy who had top security clearance, helped found the damn, antivirus community. McAfee antivirus is still one of the hugest things. He's separated from the company because he was eccentric and all this, but the guy knew what the hell he was talking about for at least this huge chunk of stuff that he talked about. As far as his views on taking ayahuasca and going off and doing acid in your underwear, I don't know about that. But I do know that I believe that he is right about that E911 chip, which can turn on a phone that's off, which can find you in an emergency situation, can look up your location, do all that. On top of that, if you have an EAS alert like this happen, what happens to your phone? Your phone cannot do anything until you clear it. How do you clear it? Well, you have to look at the phone. Unless you go like this and look at it and then press OK, who's going to do that? You're going to get the alert on your phone. You're going to look at it. You're going to find the OK button to clear it, or I got it. Click. And then that front camera can take a picture, or if they press the OK, or if they put the OK on what now the phones do, the in-screen fingerprint, right? Think about that. The in-screen fingerprint sensors that are on all these now new phones, they're also in about the same place where they put these emergency alert OKs. So when you do that, you give your fingerprints, you also give a picture of your face, and they attach it to that number. The government just a few years ago wrote an article basically saying that they were having problems tracking, the CIA and the NSA were having problems tracking burner phones. How would you get all of the burner phones of anybody who's not supposed to be in the country or secretly in the country? How would you get the face of all these burner phones? That would be one way, just saying. But on top of that, as far as like the fingerprint biometrics, able-bodied, one of my favorite Fugel family members, she posted something that it said unemployment in 27 states will require that you register your biometrics. And I believe it coming up here. So if you need to get unemployment in 27 different states, you will soon need to register all of your biometrics, your iris, your fingerprints, all that stuff. All goes into they're getting rid of anything cash-wise. You can't use cash. They're tracking everything. Dex, what do you think?
Wow. It's a never-ending collection of data. It will never stop. It will continue to grow. They are hungry for the data. The more data they have, the more power they can wield over the common people, right? That's how it works.
It's just absolute insanity in this world right now. Candy Hooten says, Marf, did you get email on 2-year timeline? I did not, Candy, but I'm sure it's in there. I remember you last time saying that you were going to do it. To be honest, I forgot to type in what I asked you to put. So, again, that is my fault. I will find it, though. I wonder if you did address it to both. Dex, can you check the boxes just for 2-year timeline? I told her to put that as the subject so we could find it, and then I didn't look. So I do apologize, Candy Hooten, but this time I will get it. Tony C, thank you. And Silly Gurgle, Macaduda, Arzola, Randy Sieber, thank you so much again. Diane Moses, again, thank you for your support of the show. And then let's see here. Kristen E, thank you for going over to the PayPal during the show. Says, keep the faith, my friends. Thank you, Marf and Dex. Thank you, Marf and Dex, for all of your efforts. The Foogle fam is the best. Well, thank you, Kristen E. I appreciate your support. A little bit of everything. Thank you for your support as well. Suzette P says, hello, Adam and fam. Hope all is well. Joanne W, thank you as well for your support. Ambertracks.com says, heirloom survival seed vaults, waterproof Bibles, bulk freeze-dried foods, canned water, bunkers, lessons, ambertracks.com. That's amber like the color and tracks like the railroad tracks. Ambertracks.com, USA. Hey, that's really smart. Again, I appreciate you, Ambertracks, for supporting, and we want to support small businesses, so I hope that you have had some people go over. Cheryl W, Cara Fuse, just thinking about how much I am ahead of the game because of the knowledge gained from your show. I know it's not much money, but I wish I had more, and hopefully in the near future, if the world makes it, then I'll be able to do much more than this, and I sure will. Love, Kara. Thank you, Kara. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter to me, and I appreciate your support, and I appreciate you being here for basically 3 years now, so don't worry about that. Thank you so much. And then Channel Jammer, thanks for modding. Thanks for all the mods down there. I wanted to make an announcement. We are going to have a new mod very soon if it hasn't already been done. Gem is going to be our newest D-Live mod. Again, Gem, congratulations. You've been here almost every show. I don't ever see you miss one, but again, thank you, and I hope that you can get modded. I'm going to put a post out as well. Thank you so much for just being around and helping the Foogle fam. That's really means a lot to me that you are there. Mike Prepared Alaska says, finally caught a live show. Appreciate what you do. Both keep reporting the uncensored news and encouraging preparedness and self-sufficiency. Mike Prepared Alaska, I sure as heck hope that everybody starts doing it. Australia, Japan, France, Germany, USA, we take China, says Kirk Thompson. I agree. Narrow gate. You see the global middle finger to the sky, Daddy. G-O-D on August 12th. We'll be out of here real soon. Church, Jesus is King. Narrow gate, I hope you're wrong. Barefoot Last, special shout out to our mod, V-Dub, Prepared Mind. Or I'm sorry, WV, Prepared Mind. I can't believe I messed that up. WV, thank you for being here. The draft age number of men and women in Russia will be dropped by half in 5 years. They will have to move now. Stephen McMahon says, really? I did not know that. And then Marla Dickinson, thank you. Hallelujah. Thank you for your support. Literally, that's their name, Hallelujah. Appreciate that. And Bayberries, I appreciate that. Big Daddy says irs.gov does a face scan. No way. That's incredible. I did not know that. I did hear that the envelope with 3 bullets addressed to Pope Francis found in Milan was apparently some scary stuff here. It says, the pontiff has faced harsh criticism from theological conservatives due to his untraditional views on and the head of the Holy See maintains that the Catholic Church should be more open to members of this community and signaled that he is somewhat in favor of recognizing same-sex civil unions. It says that an envelope with 3 bullets addressed to the Francis has been found at a post office in Milan, Italy. It says, according to the newspaper, it contained 3 9-caliber Flobert-type pellets and was sent from France with no mention of the sender. Dex, this almost sounds like they're like Ganda, right? Like, are they... I don't know if they're trying to go for the boom booms there, but it just sounds like something that would happen. It's like, okay, well, what are the bullets going to do?
They're gonna jump out of the envelope and scare them to death. I mean, what are they gonna do? I mean, obviously it's a message if it's legit. Otherwise, it's Ganda.
No, I guess we should get rid of bullets, I guess, or something. I don't know. And then the world.
I guess they have those over there, huh?
Yeah, right? It's like I don't get why. I'm surprised that's even news. I'm sure that they get different stuff like that all the time. The Pope probably gets all sorts of, negative stuff towards him. 6,000 watching. Thank you guys. I really appreciate that. All right, so it says that the world is nowhere near the end of the pandemic. It says the pandemic is not coming to an end soon, given that only a small proportion of the world population has been V'd. So I'm going to say this. These kind of articles come out on the daily, and do you see how this is angled, Dex? It's because only, or given that a small proportion of here's the thing, I don't think if a big proportion of it, I don't think that would change it.
Oh my goodness, did you hear about the cruise ship?
Oh, so go ahead.
It was a Carnival cruise ship, went out 100% V'd, as all they would allow on, and they had to come back early because they had an outbreak of CV. No one was allowed on there that wasn't protected.
You mean so all of them had legit proof and papers? They had their papers on them?
Yep.
And somehow it broke out and they all... Oh, well, I guess the flu is kind of a normal thing to get on a cruise ship too.
I guess it just mysteriously appeared there.
A light bulb just hit me. It just hit me so hard. Ow. I think I get it now. They're one and the same. All right. But
maybe Flipper was carrying it and brought it out there.
The good news is that the V's, particularly those using the messenger technology and the one by J&J, are holding up against the D variant. Brilliant. You guys can go over to the website for this stuff. Sounds like a bunch of crap, Dex.
It's definitely a big message that is just hitting day after day after day, and we'd be remiss to ignore it, and we should pay attention to it no matter what you think. It's kind of interesting to see and know, and you should understand what they are trying to say.
The AP,
and then this other one is also sort of falls into that line. This is gonna be one of the impetuses of how do they standardize, right, this tracking system that doesn't exist yet.
Okay, so I don't know if many of you saw the Jacob Israel video that he did break down, and he was crying in his video because something very near and dear was happening. His daughter got accepted to the college that she wanted, but that college that she wanted required this. So it was a big deal. It's like, does she get to go to the college that she wants, or am I going to say you can't do that? And what ended up happening is I don't think she actually went. I think that she chose to do like a community college or a different college. It came down to many things, but again, it was a huge thing in his life because he said, you're going to have to do this thing I don't want you to do. She didn't. I don't think she wanted to do it either, but just to go to the school of her choice. Basically, there's these employers, all these employers, basically to have a good job or to get a good education, you will have to fall in line. How is this happening? If you look at what it is, throw out all the other bull crap in the world, it's like, hello? If it was any other thing, they would not let this happen because it's not official. Blown away. Blown.
It seems like
away.
constitutional rights are just completely getting trampled upon here, and I think people are just allowing it. They're rolling over. I don't know. I'm not telling people what to do, but
I saw Christians get out in the street in Seattle, Washington. If I would have known, I would have went. Somebody shared that with me on Twitter, and I was surprised. I'm like, I didn't even hear about this, and no wonder why. It's like anything that organizes things just has been shut down. B welcomes the Justice Department filing committee to fresh review of the 11 attack documents. Really? Wow, this sounds like a huge distraction waiting to happen. Point somewhere else and go, hey, look at that. Other guys did that. Says, quote, I welcomed the Department of Justice's filing today, which commits to conducting a fresh review of documents where the government has previously asserted privileges and doing so as quickly as possible, Mr. B said. President B said last week, Senator Bob Menendez announced that U.S. intelligence officials would be required to review and declassify documents on any involvement by the government of Saudi Arabia or any Saudi individuals in the attacks under the bipartisan 9/11 Transparency Act. 15 of the 19 were from Saudi Arabia. Which is why I tied in all of this stuff with Twitter, how 8 out of 10 people in Saudi Arabia are on Twitter. The ties that the money that they have supersedes their size. It doesn't matter what their population is. The people that are running it, the very few, have ties directly with Silicon. It's insane. And that's why they figured out how to use it there. They found out how to control the thoughts. And they took that system and they expanded it. Incredible stuff. This is not acceptable. Fox News host Ron Bongino criticizes Fox News for editing the T-Man interview. What the hell happened here, Dex?
Well, this is what's interesting. So he had an interview with the former press, right? And in that, something was said. Now, the live interview was fine on the network channel, but when they put it up onto their YT channel on this network, I guess the people who manage this for them in the Fox News group manages the YT channel, decided to edit out a portion of it, which covered a controversial topic. And I think it's pretty interesting to see that, by the way, even
Fox.
big networks like that have to deal with this censorship on the platforms. And now he's, of course, mad, obviously. But the point I was trying to make with this is that look at who it's happening to. It's even the biggest of the biggest are having to do this.
That's incredible. So FOX News had to actually edit their post for this platform. Wow, that is incredible. I'm like simply just blown away by that.
And you wonder why Adam mumbles certain words.
Majorly Stoned, thank you for your support over there. By the way, Majorly Stoned, after talking with you on the phone, it's like your name does not match your actual like status. Majorly Stoned is incredibly on top of stuff. Thank you. Says, oops, LOL, Adam, ask your doctor. Yes, exactly. Let's see here. Citizen Kazakhstan says, keep up the good work. Thank you, Citizen Kazakhstan. Keep coming back, please. We miss you. Vault 111 got a new job. Keep me in prayers. Love Foogle fam. Vault 11, I'm praying for you, and I hope that job does well. I hope that you get to use some of your God-given talents there, like your music. You are really, really talented. You're more talented than me by far. Global Impact, Island by the Sea, Angela 1609, Quantum Cat, Gem. Thank you. All the Mafia badges out there. Thank you so much. McSteelsy, Jen Lay Awake, and Cloud Pharrell. Thank you so much. Irish, thank you so much. Again, Lurker. All sorts of great people over there. Let's see here. Dex, do you want to go into some of the Too Hot?
Absolutely. So head over to marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for today's show and scroll down past all the news and everything we just covered, and you'll find web-only content. And the web-only content is everything that's too hot for TV, topics like, we just talked about that we really can't talk about on here, like the bean counters or the V's, right, and what's happening there. A couple of great videos. If you guys caught the last episode, there was a really great long video by a doctor on there. I know a lot of people were interested in seeing. We got another one here. The very first one there is another much shorter video. It's a doctor talking about something in front of a public hearing. You guys might want to definitely go check it out. Many of you probably have already seen it because it's going viral. Lots of other things going on in the political space. Even Tucker's out getting some news and plenty of things happening in the bean counter world. So head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for this show, scroll down to web-only content, and you'll find everything there.
Oh, yeah, and Andrew Como says, I'm not a pervert, I'm just Italian. Yeah, that was his actual quote.
From all us Italians, thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm Italian. That doesn't mean I get to be a scumbag. Okay? Thanks, Andrew. Take a whole nationality down with you. Speaking of taking things down, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for the Ninja at Stormy Weather. Thank you. Taking down the names of everyone that does the Ninja. We're doing an art project for you guys, so thank you. We have this thing that we're putting together, so I appreciate you. Nicola Garrett, thank you for subscribing. Blancuso, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for all of the new patrons there. It looks like Julia joined this week. Jillian's Gems, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Ulrich Lemis Artis, thank you so much. And Mark Mosley, thank you for subscribing. Speaking of Marks and different people, make sure to go check out Wages World. Go make sure to check out Mark, the different Marks over there. We'll link some good channels. Pyres. I had a brain fart there. Mark Pyres has a great channel. Go over and check him out. I think he's almost to day 1,000, or he might be at day 1,000 in a row. He's done every single day live for 1,000 days. I thought that was incredible. All right, you guys, it is time to get out of here. Thank you, everybody that supports. Tomorrow's show will be a call-in, so remember, 224-400-MARF to call in. Tomorrow's show will be around 6 o'clock, so be there. If it does end up going late, it will be about 7 Pacific time, of course. So anywhere from 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern. You guys have a great night. It is officially time for the outro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro. Special shout out to Gone Girl 777, Amy R, Susan Donahue, Stormy Weather, thank you so much for sending that, and I appreciate it. And I had to be honest with you. I really apologize. I usually am pretty good about looking at that if I give you a specific subject to put in there. WV Prepared Mind, much love and many prayers to all. John Gunther says that chick was on the wrong chat trying to tell us about V's tonight. Jake, Alfred Phillips, Paul Barrett is here. Rock on, Marf, and hello, Foogle fam from Camp Paul Shaggy. Camp Paul Shaggy on down. 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 Camp Paul bring it with the lady green eyes. Island by the sea and the miss me by. Oh, hey, on the still are storm waters. Stormy 7572, Green Bay lady and Mrs. Drew. Hi, Ali, Lisa, Hall. April night, everybody all. Amy Petra, Mona Hetta, going back round down, etc. Hey, holiday kisser, Miss Drama, Miss Drama. Hey, with a mahulama, hallelujah, hallelujah. With a jum burger, Pedro Cruz, Ryan Griffiths. Bring it right back. Up. Jillian's Jones, ha. Jillian's Jones, ha. Jillian Jones, ha. Jillian Jones. All right, let's make a fresh one.